Welcome to Breaking Bats, presented by Not For Long Media, the first official episode. So excited. I'm Brian O'Grady. With me is my co-host, Justin Ayers. We're really excited to get this out there for everybody to hear it. Justin, what's going on, man?
I'm good, Brian. You're right. Episode 1, it's the big one. And I don't think we could have picked a better guest and a better way to start out the Breaking Bats #1 official podcast than with your guys, San Diego radio legends, Ben and Woods. This is so cool. But before we get going real quick, I did just want to give one quick shout out to Dan over at Athlete Logos. Dan is the one that created all of our logo, the podcast cover, the branding, everything that you see from a graphic design standpoint. Definitely give him a follow on Instagram and Twitter. He's the man. So, but you're right. Episode 1, Ben and Woods. The how you met, the origin story of how you guys got to know each other is one of my favorite things. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Just like talk about like how special that relationship has been, and especially going back to your time in San Diego, how important that's been for your career so far.
Classic social media, doing something for good this time. We connected through that when the signing happened. They saw and they kind of ran with a little Irish bit because of my last name, and somebody sent it to me on Twitter. And long story short, we ended up St. Patty's Day doing a little bit together, and I've been friends with them since. They're hilarious. Their show is awesome. Their show is very popular in the morning there. They've been great to me. Their fans have been great to me. They supported me at games. From the outfield, everyone be yelling at me, talking about that stuff. I get tweets from them still to this day all the time. So it's really just been a lot of fun to get to know those guys and get to interact with the fans as well. And I finally got to meet them in person after a little into the season too. So that was funny. But they give me advice on this. They just basically been in my corner this whole time, and they're cool friends to have, and excited to have them on here and for everybody to hear their first interview with them.
It's so funny. Yeah. Just like the signing of Brian O'Grady. It appears from Dublin, Ireland. It had me in tears listening to this thing. Can't wait to share it with you guys. It's really, really cool. But yeah, episode 1, be sure to stay tuned on the feed. We have episode 2 dropping simultaneously with our guy, Joe Musgrove, which you can also hear. But yeah, Brian, this is the best way I can think of to start this podcast off. They're super funny. They're both very talented, and I hope we can have them back on again in the future.
No doubt. You're exactly right. They will definitely be back. Hopefully we'll be communicating from when I'm in Japan. But yes, they're very funny. They got great stories. They have great stories about how they got to where they are. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And from that, we will send it to the first interview, Ben and Woods from the Ben and Woods Show in San Diego. Joining us now are Ben Higgins and Stephen Woods from the Ben and Woods radio show, 97.3 The Fan. San Diego. Guys, it's so good to see you. I know you just finished your show right now, so I really appreciate you coming right on. You look better than ever. How's it going out there?
It's going great. And when you invited us, I know I was very honored to be your selection here to help you get Breaking Bats started. After everything that you've done for us and played along with all of our dumb bits over the last year or so, the least we can do, man. Thank you.
No, we're elated. You and I had a conversation last week about it, and I was honored and touched that you called and happy to help. And I hope this thing goes to the moon, because it's a lot of fun doing these types of situations. We talked a lot about what's in store for you in the future, and you're just a fascinating guy for us, man. So it was an honor.
I really appreciate that. It is funny, man. It's like the old Michael Scott saying, oh, how the turntables. Here we are. How the turntables have turned. Your turn.
Yeah.
No. It's me doing this now, but you guys, I don't know if I helped you guys out, but you definitely helped me connect with the fans more. And that's still just been a lot of fun. And we'll tell that story in a minute. But first, I know Woodsy, it was Bo's fourth birthday yesterday. So happy birthday to him. That picture you put on Twitter was cracking me up, by the way. How'd all that go?
It was good, man. He's a little diva, like every member of my family. So I am, my wife is, my other son is, and Bo is like the king. He's the straw that stirs the drink in our house. So he just turned 4. I know you're going to be in for it here pretty soon yourself. But what a ride. Ben's a dad, 2 kids, 2 boys. You know, it's
I'm teaching mine to drive at this point, so that's a ways off for you, but don't appreciate every minute, because before you know it, you're going to be putting them behind the wheel of a car and saying, all right, don't crash, be safe, get home all right. And you're going to go, oh, this is it.
it just
killing you.
It's just awesome though. Being a dad, it's hard. It's like the hardest thing ever, but you got to get your hands dirty. Like with anything, you can't just roll out of bed and be a dad. You really have to, some days you really got to commit your mind to just kind of sucking it up and saying, I don't want to give them a bath, but I need to give them a bath, and I will do it, and I will not complain about it. So it's a constant kind of battle. But you know, days like yesterday when it's his 4th birthday and he's just so excited. I love you, Dada. I love you. Thank you for my birthday. And it's just like every time it just kills you. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to it for sure. Ben, you're right. I've already thought about worrying about getting behind them getting behind the wheel when that time comes, and I don't like it already, and that is a long ways off for me. So
Well,
I hear
you're having
you
a
there.
daughter, right?
Yeah, we're having a girl.
No other worries, right? With
Right.
that?
You know,
Yeah, no.
wait till BOG Junior knocks on the door. Big hard ass baseball player wants to take her out. You're like, oh my God, I know how this works. I know how this ends. It's not pretty. I'm happy with 2 boys. Ben's happy with 2 boys. I don't know how you're going to do it. But I know you'll be great at it, man. Cause you know, like everything, you're going to grind your way through it.
Yeah, there's definitely some more worries there, but you know, we'll figure it out as we go. And luckily, my father-in-law is a scary guy too, so he can help me out down here. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I'll say I was scared when we found out for a full day. I was actually scared. Delaney thought I was like mad at her, but I was just scared. Now I'm just super excited. So anyway, we'll move on real quick here. So how we met, basically. Do you guys want to tell a story? You want my story?
We'll tell the story from our perspective, but I kind of want to hear it from your perspective, because obviously it was the off season before last year, and we're doing the show from the Corona Cave, which is my parents' guest house, and we're waiting on the Padres to, you know, make some moves. AJ Preller's a wheeler and dealer in the off season. We're sitting there. It's December. It's almost Christmas, and nothing's really happened. And so we're just dying. Something. Let's see a transaction. And all of a sudden, boom, hits the transaction wire that the Padres have signed outfielder Brian O'Grady. And we both kind of go, who
the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, exactly. I'll never forget it. I can remember. It's one of those days where like, it's so stuck in my memory. I read it and I go, Brian, okay. So I go, and I remember, I think the quote was, I'm like, well, ladies and gentlemen, the first domino has fallen. The Padres are on the board, and they have signed, maybe from Dublin, Ireland, it looks like Brian O'Grady. I'm like, who's this guy? Ben's like, it looks like he played for the Reds.
I'm going like, is
Rays.
this a major league deal? Is this a minor league deal? Is this a spring training invite? What's going on here?
Yeah. So it was a major league deal. And I just remember going, okay, Brian O'Grady. And then I just went into the worst Irish accent you've ever heard, like, top of the morning, so happy to be here. And so we riffed with it. We had some fun, and people loved it. They really had fun with it because, they were tweeting about it. And then somebody found you on Twitter, tagged you in it. And that's when I went, oh, shit. Sometimes bits go too far. Now, you never know how someone's going to take something, right? And especially, like, we've been around enough big leaguers to know that, like, there's certain things you talk about and there's certain things you don't. There's questions that you want to avoid. But you were a guy that got it immediately. And for us, when you got it, because I think your first response back was, oh, I got to hear this accent. Yeah. And I'm like, oh God, he just responded. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Because you're in a room and you got a mic in front of you, but you're talking to your buddy. You forget that other people are listening. And I can't tell you how many times I've driven home and went, did I? Oh, I did. Oh man, I hope they don't hear that. Right? Like, it happens all the time.
I think the worry is that you're going to think we were making fun of you or something, or belittling you, or it wasn't taken in the spirit that it was intended. And the last thing we want is to, offend a new Padre and get off on the wrong foot. So I think that's where kind of the nervousness comes in when we get a bit going. We don't know how you're going to react.
Yeah, that's definitely something you would be worried about. You don't want to piss anybody off or somebody you don't even know or whatever. But for me, I thought it was hilarious. So from my perspective, that's pretty accurate from my perspective.
What were you thinking? Like, who are these guys?
Like, what's these guys?
Yeah. So
like, click on us, or what happened?
For me, it started back in the off season when like you said, when they signed me, and it pops up as a major league deal, which technically, yes, it's a major league deal. It's a split contract. I make a certain amount in AAA, certain amount in the major leagues, but it puts me on the 40-man roster. So that's what it's called. And people had the same exact reaction. Like, who the fuck is Brian O'Grady? And I get that, unless you're a pretty hardcore baseball fan, you probably, or a Reds/Rays fan, you probably didn't know who I was at that point. San Diego would have no reason to know who I am. And somehow on Twitter, people were kind of not talking shit, but they were kind of talking shit about me and whatever. And I responded to somebody. And from then, and we just, had a back and forth, and I was just kind of explaining what was happening, why I sucked for a few years in minor leagues and what I changed. And the Padres fan, they enjoyed it. So that was kind of my start with them there. Fast forward, spring training, that's happening. That was spring training, right? Or was it before spring training? And I just saw it. Like, it was spring training, I think.
No, it was fairly soon. It was fairly soon after we did the bit that Paulie posted.
Someone did it.
And then you responded on Twitter, but I think the first time it was Peoria.
Yeah, he was in Peoria when he was like, I can't wait to hear this accent.
Oh yeah, you were in Peoria.
What's up, Paulie?
Paulie's on the back. Yeah, he's working on tomorrow's show already.
But yeah, it was
okay
in Peoria, and I'm like, oh my God, he's tweeting at us from Peoria.
We couldn't go because of COVID. Usually,
we would have been there.
First,
it was all weird.
Meet all the guys, but COVID, they wouldn't let us go, so it was different than usual. So we're not able to actually talk to you in person like we might have been able to, and just like make sure you understood, what's going on here and who we are. So that added, I think, to a little bit of the nervousness about it.
Well, and then when we had you on, it was one of the best intros ever, because we kind of built it up for a couple of months, and
I know
you opened right off the shoot with top of the morning. It's Brian O'Grady.
Didn't we do it on wait for St. Patrick's
Day
to do
yes.
it? It was during spring training.
Yeah.
So
it's the best, dude. And
so
it's just one of those funny things where you're talking about people talking shit online, and it happens. And the funny thing is sometimes you respond and they'll go, oh shit, I didn't know you were going to respond. Right. And and they're like, hey, cool, man, pulling for you. And that's kind of what happened to you. I can remember some of that discourse going back and forth, but for us in the morning, it's kind of our mantra, try to make people laugh. And if a dumb Irish accent, which again, you're from Philly, you're not from Ireland, who cares? But I think there would be players that would take it the wrong way, but you didn't. And as soon as we knew that you got it, I'm like, this is our guy for sure. And we're your guys, and we're going to have your back and root for you. I thought it was rad, at Petco when you did get called up a couple of times. And I mean, people were going ape shit, in the stands and stuff. And it was awesome. I remember running to my TV, let's go. And it sucked because it seemed like they're like, hey, BOG's back up. I'm like, great. Give this dude a start. Let him get 4 ABs, not come in the 9th, down 3 off of, guy throwing 98 from the left side. I'm like, give the dude a start. Let him get some ABs under his belt and see what you could do, because you had the bomb, which was the greatest moment. I was napping. I fell asleep when it happened. I woke up and my Twitter was like,
blown up.
I'm like, fuck. And I went and rewound it, and I'm just like, yeah, it was so great. So just it's easy to root for Manny. It's easy to root for Tatis. It's easy to root for those guys, right? I like the guy that, has had to work his balls off. And again, you got it out of the chute. And that meant a lot to us. And we have had, I like to say it's been mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's everything you said is spot on. someone sent it to me, and you know, we just rolled with it. I really did. I thought it was funny. I know guys, some guys take things more serious than others. I know you're gonna get stuff from the fans, whether you're the best player in the world or
Yeah.
not, doesn't matter. So I just try to take it in stride. But I like laughing. I think things are funny. So I thought that was genuinely funny. And it was when you guys had me on finally, I was sitting there with my wife going, should I come on and do the Irish accent right off the thing? And I was like nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously. I was like
nervous to do it
nervous. And I did it, and it was great. And I think my biggest fans to this day, or the most support I get on Twitter or anything, are your guys' fans of the
awesome.
radio show, which is so cool. But in addition to that, you guys obviously are very popular. Congrats on the extension.
Thank you.
For the next 3 years. How good does that feel?
Good, really good.
Yeah, I've had a number of radio shows in the past. Woods has as well, and it always felt like it was minute to minute. Like, yeah, it's going okay, but you know, they're gonna pull the plug at some point here because that's just what happens in radio. So to have a little security and know that we can like make plans for a golf tournament. We had our first golf tournament a few months ago. We're planning like the second one. We can do like a second annual golf tournament. To know that you're going to be around a little bit, it really helps. Knowing that we can just continue to develop and grow. It's a really great feeling.
Well, and you know, most importantly for me at least is like I still enjoy coming to work every day, where I've been in positions where I didn't, you know, put me in a kind of a mental tailspin coming into work, not really knowing what kind of mood somebody was going to be in or if they were going to be prepared or whatever. And I just never worry about that on our show. And you know, even our bad shows are still pretty good, and our good shows are great. And that's a lot of fun. And we have a lot more great ones, in my opinion, than we do clunkers. And everybody, you know, Jim Rome has clunkers. Colin Cowherd has clunkers. Everybody, Tatis has a bad game. You know, it just happens. Like,
the funny thing is sometimes Woods thinks we had a great show and I'll go, it was okay. And other times I'll think, oh, that was a really good show. And Woods, I wasn't feeling it. So I have no idea what the audience thinks. Sometimes it's really unpredictable. And, you know, like ratings, we think we're doing great. Ratings are not good. Then there's COVID stops. And we think, well, there's no sports. No one's going to listen to us, and our ratings go through the roof. And so we don't totally understand this business either, even though we've been in it for a long time.
Yeah, but it's about feeling, you know, it's about wanting to come to, you've been there, I'm sure, in your career. There's ballparks and there's clubhouses you want to walk into every day. And then there's probably been somewhere you're like, I don't want to go to work today. Right. Like, I've been there. It's a bad feeling. So for me, getting to work with Benny and Paulie every day, you know, it's a dream. It's a dream. Every day, Ben can be sick. We can all be going through stuff in our personal lives, whatever. And we're always in pretty much the same mood and ready to kind of jam. And that's a good feeling every day.
Yeah, you guys definitely seem like you have that type of relationship. And that's the vibe I get when I listen to you guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, one of the reasons why your fans love you so much. But just real quick, how'd you guys get into radio originally? And then I know there's a little story to how you ended up on the Fan. So can you just tell that stuff real quick?
Sure.
Well, I've been doing it for a long time. My very first job, essentially in college, I interned at our big sports radio station in town, which was the Mighty 690 back in the day, with like where Jim Rome started his first show, his local show, and guys like Hacksaw. I mean, so I started, I like answered the phones, you know, for callers who called in, call screener. And then kind of got a job after college, produced a show, worked my way on the air, was able to get from that to do some Padres pre and post game at a different station. And then that got me onto my TV gig at Channel 10 here in town. And since then, I've had about 3 other radio shows with different partners, you know, for a couple of years here and there until Woodsy and I got together. Now, Woods is a completely different story and how he got into radio.
It's bizarre. And I just celebrated my 12th year here in San Diego. And it's been weird. Like, in your equivalent, it would be like I graduated high school. No, it'd be like I graduated college and I went straight to the big leagues. Like, the Yankees called me, the Padres called me, the Red Sox called me and said, you're the starting shortstop. And that's it. And everyone else is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like,
yeah, I had to come up through every minor
through the
league
minors
stage
and like,
to get there.
never ridden the bus, never, but I've paid my dues in other ways, believe me. But it was wild. I was in Dallas, radio sales, and this new show had moved to town from San Jose, I believe at the time. And I liked them. They were good dudes. And I went up to them on their first day and said, "Hey man, glad you guys are here." And they like looked at me like I was a freak. They're like, "Dude, no one's even said hello. Like, how you doing? You want to be our friend?" And we started hanging out, and they're like, "Dude, you're batshit crazy. Like, why are you in sales? You need to be on the air. You're like a personality." And I'm like, I never even thought about that, right? I always loved radio, loved it. I was in the medium. It was where I started my career. So I don't think much of it. They'd put me on from time to time and talk about my exploits, you know, whatever. But then January 1st of 2010, I'm at home. I'm hungover. It's the day after New Year's Eve. I'm dying. And the phone rings, and it's the dude from Dallas that had ended up moving to San Diego. And he called me, and it was just like this. He goes, "Woodsy." I go, "Hey, what's up, dude? Long time." He goes, "Man, have you heard about what's going on with my show?" And I go, "No, I haven't been following. What's up?" He goes, "Dude, they don't want to work with me anymore. I got to build a new show. I need to find 4 new people. Do you want to move to San Diego and be on the radio?" And I go, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, I do. It'd be amazing." And I went in the next week to work, kind of thinking like just my normal suit and tie job. And I was like, well, that would be wild. They flew me out. I met the program director. He goes, "Yeah, you're in. If he wants you, you're in." And I'm on the air a month later. And it was bananas. Like, it was like winning the lotto for me. Now it's a lotto that doesn't pay very well. There's a lotto that is, you run into a million psychopaths along the way.
Get up at 3 a.m.
You got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You got to eat a lot of shit, lotto, but it's still for me, like, it's the lotto. So it was crazy. Now, a lot of people get the chance. It's kind of what you do with the chance, you know, and that's kind of how I always, when people are like, "Oh man, you never had to pay your dues." I'm like, work with some of the people I've worked with and then tell me I haven't paid my dues. And you know, like I said, man, 12 years doing it. I can't imagine doing anything else. I don't know what I'll do if it ends. I won't be one of those guys that like you'll never hear from again, but I've loved it. I've loved the good, the bad, the ugly of it. It's a crazy story though. Crazy.
It's funny how different the two paths were for you guys there. Not like you said, not that you haven't paid your dues, but obviously Ben took the, I guess, the more traditional route that way, maybe. And but
Mine's
here you guys
miracle.
are, and I mean, it's working though. You guys are doing great, and you know, to piggyback off of that, why do you? I have my, you know, my thoughts on why you guys do so well, but why do you guys think you do so well as a team, and why you have such really diehard fans of your show and following, especially, I mean, nowadays on social media, your Twitters are huge and all that. So what do you think about that?
I would say that a lot of it is because I let Woods be Woods, and Woods tries to make me be someone else.
Yes. And he rolls with it. Well, the thing about Ben is Ben never knew what an interesting star he is. And I've worked with a few people. I've been in the business long enough to know that there's a lot of ego in this business. A lot of people want the spotlight, you know. "Oh, I've got a great idea for me that's going to make me look good or make me look whatever." And I kind of learned early on, like, dig in a little bit and you'll find some gold. Like with Ben, no one ever really dug in, and to find
That's
out,
true.
like,
None of my other hosts that I was ever with really had any interest in developing me as a person and a character on the show.
He's such a character, and I knew it from the first day I met him, and we start talking, and we're talking kind of philosophies of radio. And I'm looking at him going, "Oh yeah, this dude is like straight laced, as white as can be, doesn't curse, you know, never been arrested, never did drugs, didn't whore around and do all the things that everybody I know did." And I just went, "How old are you?" And we are 4 months apart. 4. Doesn't like any of the music I grew up on, doesn't know much about pop culture. And to me, I looked at Ben and I went, that is a blank canvas that no one has painted on. And it just didn't make sense to me. And I went, "Oh yeah, you're dead. Like, I'm going to bring it all out."
And
all of it.
I think when you're on the air, at least when I was getting started, the inclination is always trying to make yourself seem a little cooler than you really are.
And
Because I
smart.
know I
I'm so
wasn't that
smart.
cool. So I had to lean on, I'm a sports nerd. So lean on my knowledge, lean on my preparation, which is fine. But a lot of hosts do that.
Yeah.
I was never really interested in talking about personal stuff. I still have trouble with it. But one piece of advice that Woods gave me, maybe one of our very first meetings that I have thought about many, many times over the last 4 years, is you have to be yourself plus 10%.
I gave him the same advice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
he gave me
really
that
is
same advice.
Yeah.
just be yourself. Don't be someone else. Don't
Right.
try to be someone you're not. Just amplify you. Your quirks are 10% quirkier. You know, your personality is just 10% more on the air. And I've really taken that to heart.
You know, the other thing too, that is it's so valuable in our room is trust. There's trust. I trust that Ben is going to be here. I trust that Ben is going to be prepared. Ben trusts my wild ideas. Like, he may not agree with them, but he trusts me that they're going to go over. And
Yeah.
we've done a lot of, we're not revolutionaries by any stretch. I feel like it's hard to be revolutionary in this business. When there's Stern walking the face of the earth, and there's, Romy and those guys, those are revolutionaries, but we do it different. And Ben has allowed for a lot of kind of creative freedom. And that comes from trust. He knows I'm not going to do anything to put us in jeopardy. Like, I'm not going to do anything to put our jobs at jeopardy. Now, we may piss listeners off by playing a 17-minute Bob Dylan song in its entirety on the air. And we did, but he trusts me to know, all right, Woods knows what he's doing. He knows how to push buttons. I'm going to let him do it. Where other people, it's so weird when I think about some of my other partners. Like, the first guy I worked with, BOG, literally we had a meeting in his backyard. And he said to me, quote, "So I know we brought you in, like, you're this character, wild man, a lot of girls." He goes, "But, people don't like cocky guys on the air. Let's make you the chubby guy." Quote. It's a fucking quote. "You're the chubby guy." And I would have fucking gotten hit by a car to be on the radio. So I went, "Yeah, sure. Okay." Fast forward 3 weeks later, people are like, "Hey, you're the chubby guy." And I'm just like, fuck.
And you're not Tatis ripped.
No,
but
I'm not shredded, but
you're not,
I'm 6'1", 235, and people
300 pounds.
People treat me like I'm fucking, John Goodman in the 80s. Like, it is what it is, right? But like, there's a trust factor where Ben knows I want to make him look good. Ben wants to make me look good. There's a lot of that going on, which is really rare when you get egos in the same room.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's
hard. It's rare.
That's funny stuff.
It's
yeah.
rare.
And that's for you guys to trust each other like that. It's obvious for anyone who listens to you. And it does seem like you guys really do just have a good time, and what you're obviously prepared, but you know what you're doing, and you still have fun, and it just works, man. I do enjoy it. And I was listening a lot in the beginning when all this, what we talked about before, was going on. So
Yeah.
I do actually know. I'm not just saying that because I like it.
No,
like
we
the two of you,
appreciate
but
it still trips us out that you listened, and like Skip Schumacher would like text me and he was listening and he's like, he freaks you out.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like, maybe you don't want these guys to listen, because sometimes you got to give honest opinions, and it's not always the
Oh,
best. But
I wish my wife didn't listen half the time. I could say a lot more shit than I do already. So.
yeah, I will. There's always that. But let's shift gears just a little bit here and get more into my forte. And I know you guys are both big baseball fans. First, let's talk about the lockout feelings. What do you guys got on what's going on here from the players' perspective, from the owners? What's your thoughts on this whole situation right now?
well, we get cash under the table from the owners to support them, so we're 100% in their camp.
He does. Nah, we hate it. We're livid. It's killing us. It makes our show, I don't know, infinitely harder every single day without moves like the next Brian O'Grady being signed. It sucks. We hate it. We love baseball. This is now, we just want to go through together as a show. We've never really been, have we been through a full seat?
Regular,
A regular,
like,
normal, no COVID.
Ugh.
We're ready for the
we wanna
real
go to
shit.
spring training in
Yeah.
like February,
On
early
time.
March. Be there for a week, do all the interviews, come back for on-time opening day with full fans in attendance,
Yeah.
all the way
Yep.
through into the postseason. We're ready for something normal.
So selfishly, we're pissed.
Yeah.
You know, we want it to get done. I think we're both firmly entrenched in the players' camp. You know, I hate that it's playing out on Twitter. I understand why it does. I understand that, but I feel like the game, and I love it so much. I love it. It's my heart and soul. But I feel like the game steps on its dick a lot. I really do. I just feel
Absolutely.
competitively it does. I feel like we're watching a product that isn't as good as it could be. They make it hard for people to watch. Like, this is everything. Something you're like, God damn, this seems like such an easy solution. Like, the more eyeballs on the game, the better. If we're starting on time, the better. It's been a hard year mentally, physically, financially for a lot of people. And so there are people that are just done with this bullshit. It doesn't matter. It does. I mean, the owner's proposal, it doesn't matter what it says to some people. They're like, I would do anything. I'd jump in front of a bus to play for that much money. And they just don't understand the bigger picture. It makes it hard for us to convey on the air.
I think there's a wish, like, couldn't they just do this behind the scenes? We don't
Yeah.
hear anything about it. And then one day they
done.
announce they've got an agreement and we get to play baseball. But, one or two, there's 30 owners, there's hundreds of players, one or two tweet something. Of course, the other side's going to want to respond. You've got reps who are, making their money and their reputation. And I think that's one of the things that worries me. I like Tony Clark. He's a San Diego guy, but everyone knows they kind of got their ass handed to him on the last negotiation. So he's got to win this
He's
one.
got to.
Or, the players are going to vote him out for someone else. So he's got to stick it, hard line as hard as he can, or players are going to be unhappy and he's going to be out of a job. But is that going to get baseball back anytime soon? No, that's going to make it harder to get a deal done because they all look like they've got to win this negotiation or it's not going to go well. So it makes it hard to see how this outcome, how everyone gets on the same page and gets this done without hopefully losing any regular season games.
Well, people forget too, or they just choose not to remember. The owners are always going to win because the owners can make money. Doesn't matter. They're going to make money. That's why they're owners. And I do love the older players, the more seasoned players, the guys that have made a ton of money, the guys that will make a ton of money next season, the Max Scherzers of the world, the Andrew Millers of the world, saying, man, y'all need to understand it's about the health of the game and it's about future generations. And yeah, man, not everybody makes a $8 to $10 million bonus coming out of high school. Those guys it's different. When you find out how few millionaires there are in big league baseball, it kind of blows your hair back. You're like, oh, wow. Now, granted, you look at it and go, could I survive on that salary? Sure, I could. But in your case, for example, my God, the shuttling back and forth, all that, like, I don't even know how you kept up with it, to be honest with you. Hey, I'm making this much this week. Oh, I'm back down to this much and meal money at Taco Bell this week. It's not standardized, right? It's different. And, having options and things like that must suck, having all those options where you're like, I could be hitting 800 and if a pitcher comes off and we need him in the bullpen, I'm going down. That sucks.
Yep. Options are a blessing and a curse because it makes you valuable to a team like I was last year for the Padres to do that. And it also sucks because you can go down, so it's a double-edged sword there, but it's the whole situation is tough because I saw something the other day. I believe, and I could be off, but I believe it was 61% of major league players last year were on minimum or close to minimum. It might have been like first year ARB or something like that range, but that's the majority of players. And yes, that's a lot of money, but the lifespan for guys like that is not very long. So the rest of your life working or whatever you're going to do after that, you're trying to make your money while you can. And your point to the owners is they're going to make their money and they're in the game for a lot longer than the players are in general. So
this is gonna sound harsh, but obviously when they're selling tickets, they're putting Tatis out there. People are buying, I want to go see Fernando Tatis play. At least right now, they're not saying, I want to go see Brian O'Grady play. Now, they can't have a team without you guys, without that 61%.
Right.
There's no sport,
No
there's
doubt.
no game. So it's like, well, what is fair? I mean, he's got, is 340 million even enough for Fernando Tatis Jr.? I mean, he's that important to the success of the Padres that's almost sounds like a bargain, yet you can't do it without the rest of you guys. He wouldn't make $1 if he didn't have teammates and, you didn't have a guy to throw the ball to at first base or pitch it to
Absolutely.
him or whatever. So how do you decide what's fair even amongst the players? How do the owners decide what's fair amongst them? The Yankees owner and the Rays owner, they got totally different issues. So it's hard to even get both the sides on the same page, much less than meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, it's and I'm a little disconnected from it now, or at least this off season. Obviously still following it very closely, but in my opinion and my feeling that I get is that the players are fighting for that 61% and kind of the middle class of baseball, guys who might play six years maybe, or somewhere in that range. And because they're just not getting paid anymore, comparatively speaking, to years ago. And those guys aren't getting signed as much. So it's a tough fight. I think everybody wants baseball. The players want baseball. I'm sure the owners want baseball. And I think there's going to be baseball. They got to figure it out. And I don't want to see them miss any games. And I know from the player side, I know they definitely don't too. It's tough. And like you guys said, playing out on social media and in the public, especially since what happened with the COVID year, is not a good look. But nowadays you see the impact of social media on everybody's opinions, really. So
Yeah.
I think it's unavoidable at this point. But
Yeah, there's no
hopefully they
doubt.
figure it out and we start on time, and they start on time. Sorry, not we. They
Well,
start
luckily,
on
you've
time.
got a lucrative
And-
podcast career to fall back
Well,
on.
Yes,
and
I got a
going to
huge
go play in-
podcast.
I'm so excited to hear all about Japan when you get over there. I'm so fascinated by it.
Plus,
It's
if
gonna
you
be
want to
amazing.
join our team, you could be the chubby guy on Ben and Wood.
Yeah, you want to be the chubby guy on Ben and Woods?
I will do anything to get on radio, so I will be the chubby guy on Ben Woods.
That would be so funny.
Oh my god,
Jack
I love
Ryan
it.
Yeah,
O'Grady
we
is our
get him.
chubby guy.
He's our third mic, and he's now the fat kid.
I love it.
It's no longer
Works for
me or
me.
Ben or Paul.
There's our
It's me.
fat Irish kid.
Hey,
too,
fat Irish.
too many potatoes growing up.
Yeah, our fat
Hey,
Irish
hey.
and Brian O'Grady. Oh, maybe
I
that
love-
could be the new bit.
I love Florida, but I could be persuaded to move to San Diego. I don't know. We'll see what my wife says, but
Pretty great.
Oh,
Delaney would love
it's not
it.
too bad.
It should be
It's
fine.
not too bad.
Yeah.
Real quick, Hall of Fame. What do you guys got on? Well, first of all, Big Poppy, congratulations to him making the Hall of Fame. But what do you got on the snubs? Most notably, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and that whole ordeal.
That was our youth. I grew up watching
Same.
Rocket pitch, and just one of the best I've ever seen. And Barry Bonds, other than yourself, is the best left-handed hitter I've ever seen. And I've just never seen a guy do more with less. I mean, he got 3 pitches a week. He hit those out. He was unbelievable. I understand I read Doug Lanville's piece. We had Doug on. It was remarkable. It was brilliant.
Very
And I
smart guy.
understand what him not wanting to put them in, but I just don't understand. I just don't understand. He should be in if you want to, make him a wing or something, but like Barry's the best I've ever seen. He's the best I've ever seen all around. Like he's
Agreed.
the best player I've ever seen. And
As a Padres fan watching, I hated Barry Bonds because obviously he just tormented the team. As a member of the media, I hated Barry Bonds because he was a complete jerk to us. I mean, most of us all the time. We're just trying to get our job done, and he is sneering and he is just mean to the media. And I absolutely think that he took, the cream, the clear, you just look at him and the transformation. It wasn't natural. And I still think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. I really do. I'm not a voter. If I was, I probably would at least, if it was a borderline guy and there was a lot of suspicions, I mean, I have a high standard to begin with. So, that might affect my vote on a couple of guys, maybe even with a guy like Big Poppy, I'd be a little more hesitant, right on the line, or a Manny Ramirez or a Barry Bonds, though. I mean, it was such a no-brainer to me that I would have had him and both Clemens in. Schilling would have been a little tougher. I didn't think he was quite there to begin with, He was also not one that I was fond of as a member of the media, but I try not to hold that. They can't all be Brian O'Grady's, I guess. So
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, go ahead, Woodsy.
I just remember, again, my big thing is kind of hypocrisy. Like, there are guys in there that have used, but those guys were smiley and they were funny and they were good to the media. And so they get to be in the Hall of Fame. You know, we told the story on the air, the character issues and things like that, man, it's almost even harder for me to let a guy like Vizquel in, knowing what he did, like, to women and things like that. That's harder for me than a guy that said, I'm going to try this shit out and see what it does. Wow,
Yeah.
works. You know, as somebody that takes an Adderall before every show that's prescribed by a doctor, I guess I'm enhancing my performance every day. Okay. I sleep well at night. I don't have to hide it from my kids, right? Like, bro, I'm trying to fucking make some money and do my work.
you're
And
never getting in the Radio Hall of Fame now.
I guess not. That's fine. I mean, you know, but it's so, there's such a,
I'll be clean when I go in.
yeah. There's such a, like, it's so sports writer involved. And I think that bugs me too. Like, they get to play judge and jury, and, you know, look, Ben says he's sure he did it. Show me the suspension. If I want to be a dick about it, never was suspended a game. Put the guy in the Hall of Fame. You know, I think he did, but prove it. And if he can't prove it, then he's in the Hall of Fame. That's how I feel.
I agree. Yeah, I just about everything you said right there. Right there with you. Barry to me is
It's the best.
those numbers, and I don't care what you were on. It is not making you that good at hitting a baseball. It might help you hit it a little bit farther or recover or whatever you want to say, but the vision, the timing, the efficiency in that swing is, I mean, the discipline, it's off the charts. It really is. So I think without a doubt, he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I guess we'll see down the line if that happens. And man,
I
what a
thought Doug
player, what a
Lambert's
hitter.
argument that you could have a whole wing, have him there, he's part of the history of the game, just the plaque. You know, you don't necessarily need the plaque to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I thought there was some merit to that call as well.
It's hard though. I mean, you got to go through, and I don't want to name names, but like, there's guys that used, and there's guys that have been named in Canseco's book that he's like, oh, I shot him in the stalls at Arlington Stadium, but he's in, you know, and okay, well, that's about as much proof as they got on Barry. And, you know, and I know that there was Balco and all that, but I don't know, man. I feel like if you're going to let one in, you let them all in, the full Monty here, and everybody kind of understanding. Yeah, maybe you did some workarounds here and there. I mean, the NFL Hall of Fame, it's just weird. It always bugged me. I've always been more of a Major League Baseball fan. It's like, if he did it in the NFL, it's like, who cares? The football players, that's what they do. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just like, they don't do congressional hearings for steroids in the NFL.
Yeah,
It's rampant, and it has been for a long time. And I'm sure there are, you know, we still see guys in the minor leagues getting popped for, I can't remember what it's called, stanazol and things like that. Look,
crazy stuff.
People are always going to look for an edge. Don't really have a problem. It's their life. I mean, it's their life. If you get caught, you serve the time and you come back and do your thing. But I just, as a, you know, I guess a PED user myself, I don't really care.
It's
trying to win, dude. That's what I'm trying to do.
It's all interesting. I just can't imagine. It's funny because, you know, I think it's all-time home run leader, all-time hits leader, and all-time strikeout leader, I believe, are all not in the Hall of Fame.
Not in the Hall of Fame.
Baseball, which is pretty insane when you think about it. But
it's a weird bit, man. It really is.
See you, Paulie. Anyway, let's shift to Padres real quick. And this year, what do you guys got on the hiring of Bob Melvin as manager? The new staff, what are your outlooks for this year? What do you think they need to change maybe from last year?
Well, we need a left fielder.
From your perspective.
Well, we need a left fielder, and now you're going to Japan. So how's that work, right? We're excited. Obviously, Bob comes very highly regarded. I thought it was a huge coup by AJ to get him. He wasn't even mentioned by anyone. And every single person we've talked to has nothing but rave reviews. And I don't know how much you can say or would say, but apparently there were issues in the clubhouse that needed to be ironed out last year. And Bob Melvin apparently is the guy to do that. So we're excited. Now, you played You played for Ting, and we love Ting, but there was an issue.
I'm just listening. I'm waiting for Brian to speak actually now.
I love Ting. I think Ting is a great man. I have zero problems with Ting. My time there was fantastic. I wasn't there at the end of the year. I spent that last 6 weeks or whatever it was in AAA. So when things really started to slide, I don't know what was going on at that point. So it really is tough for me to
the
say.
problem though is sometimes just losing is the problem in the clubhouse. That's the morale problem. Is losing.
If baseball's hard, baseball's fucking hard. And sometimes shit just doesn't go your way, no matter how much talent you have and how committed everybody is in that locker room. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. There was obviously injury issues, and some people, maybe didn't perform as well as they expected to or hoped to, but sometimes it just happens. So obviously, like you said, Bob Melvin is a great manager, has been for a long time now, and comes very highly regarded. So I am interested to see what changes there are, if any. I was a fan of that staff. They all worked really hard with me. They were straight shooters with me. I don't have anything bad to say. I like all those guys, and I play for them again any day.
So when you were in like Tampa and you were in Cincy, right? Because we saw I think one of the most interesting stories to come out about the Padres last year was Cal Quantrill, right? So he goes in the trade for Clev, and he goes over to Cleveland, and he starts working with Ruben Niebla, who's now a Padres pitching coach, working with Ruben and his staff. And Cal actually, he goes, it's night and day. We get over here, and I now realize, wow, my changeup is a big league pitch. And through the use of technology that I'd never used before, it's kind of a big deal. And I was flabbergasted, because I think there's this misconception that the Padres are so analytically driven. And in reality, they're not. AJ is a scout. He's a scout at heart, and his whole staff, they're scouts. They wade through the jungles of the Dominican.
They bust their ass.
Yeah, they bust their ass, and they find these guys
truly.
But once we get them here, we're having a hard time developing them. What were the differences for you? Like how technology based was Cincinnati, Tampa, as opposed to San Diego?
It's harder for me as a hitter. I will say that the pitching side is totally different, because the way they can design things now and look at all those aspects of ball movement and spin and stuff I don't even fucking understand, to be totally honest with you, is different. And I know that's where Tampa really separates themselves in terms of whatever they value and how they look for those things. I don't know that, but I know every fucking guy they have there is like,
stud.
Who the hell is this guy, and why is he not just a stud? Like the alternate side of Tampa Bay that year, the COVID year, was unfucking real. The guys I was playing with when I wasn't active with them it was literally, the hitters were me, Nate Lowe, who was the starting first baseman for the Texas Rangers all year, my good buddy. He hit like 260 with 20 when he finally got a chance. Josh Lowe, his younger brother, who made his debut this year, who's an absolute stud too. Wander Franco, who everybody fucking knows who he is now, signed that deal for whatever it is. Vidal Brujan, who made his debut this year, who's a freak athlete too. And then some other guys, I don't know. Rosarena was there in the beginning before he was the best hitter in the playoffs of all time. And those are guys just off the top of my head. And there were more who were good players who maybe didn't make their debut just yet. The pitchers were the guys you got to see this year. Shane McClanahan was my roommate, who lefty throwing 100. Made debut in the playoffs. And I faced him, and it was so annoying because he's like my little brother. I think it went 1 for 10 with 9 strikeouts and 1 home run, and I never let him move that home. I still don't to this day. Who else? Joe Ryan made his debut this year, got traded in the Nelson Cruz trade. Like, it was there's tons of them. Dietrich Enns has come with me to Japan, but he was in the big leagues with them. It was unbelievable. So they just figured it out. I don't even know. The pitching side's crazy. The Reds, they had Derek Johnson, the pitching coach, brought some of the pitching analytics there too. Like Sonny Gray was huge with that kind of stuff and the spin, whatever. But I didn't get to see that with the Padres from their pitch designs and stuff. And I think it's harder as well when the Padres last year we had a lot of very established pitchers. There weren't too many young guys there. You had Weathers and maybe someone else I'm forgetting, but it's Blake Snell, it's you Darvish, it's those guys, and you can adjust little things, but those are guys who've had great success already. So how much do you really want to mess with them? I don't know. It's hard to tell, but obviously they see something with Ruben coming in this year or whatever it is. So I guess that'll be the real deciding factor on differences there, and if he can implement whatever and help a lot of those young guys there.
No doubt. We're
But,
excited about
yeah,
him.
I mean, I think we were just talking about projections, Zips and Fangraphs. They still have the Padres, averaging about 90 wins, which is great. I mean, it's a playoff, should be a playoff team as long as they don't do what happened last year and stay reasonably healthy. I mean, there's a lot of good players, and you figure there's probably a couple more moves to be made. So, I'm hoping for October baseball would be a lot of fun to cover. I haven't had a lot of it growing up in San Diego. So this year, I was counting on it last year. So now this year,
I think they'll be there for sure. I think they got great leaders in that clubhouse. I think they got great players. I think they'll be able to, as a unit, deal with the pressure of those expectations that were on the team last year, this year. So I'm looking forward to following along and seeing exactly what they do. Now, speaking of last year, what was your favorite moment from last season?
The end.
Besides my home run, I know that
Besides
was
your
really
home
important.
Daniel
but
Cameron's
besides my-
grand slam was pretty awesome.
That was
God.
he's a great dude. That was a great
Awesome.
one.
Tatis owning Dodger Stadium was pretty sick.
Yeah,
That was when
that series early in the
Oh,
year
that series.
was unbelievable. You weren't there yet, right?
I was
Yeah,
mad.
that was-
I was
that
pissed
was
about
pretty
that. I was
amazing.
like, oh, it looks so cool.
it was nuts. It was like hard. It was like gut wrenching.
Like World Series
World
in
Series
April
atmosphere. It
and
was
May.
crazy.
It's
I was
like,
there.
I remember watching it. We were at the alternate site and just finished our games, which were rough because it's just us. It's like Sandlot games, but with like big league players or guys who've been in whatever. And we came back in and I'm watching it and they had that. Was that the series where Melanson, like Manny started the double play, like just a line drive right at him? He whipped it to Crony.
Yeah.
Oh, and they were going nuts. And it was like that. Yeah, it really was. It was like playoff baseball that early in the
It
season.
was amazing. There's a lot. There's a lot of good. I mean, the bad far outweighed the good last year. Honestly, it did. The last couple months just scarred the shit out of me. And I'm looking at the projections going, I don't believe it. I don't believe it till I see it. I'm just a wreck. And now, of course, with the delay is killing me. So I'm just ready to get this thing going. But there was a lot, man.
Slam Moreno was phenomenal too.
The no-hitter.
Oh yeah,
no-hitter.
Joe's
No-hitter.
no-hitter. I mean, I've grown up my whole
Joe's
life.
coming on in a couple days. I can't wait to talk to him about that.
Oh, that'll
The
be
no-hitter,
good.
Joe's coming on. That was I wasn't active, but I was there for the no-hitter. It was really cool.
You'll wonder why
So,
is the Ben
say
Woods
that
podcast
story.
getting like 8 downloads, and then the Joe Musgrove one is getting hundreds
Right,
of
yeah,
downloads.
go figure.
whatever.
I have a few guys who do actually like me, so I'm trying to get those requests into the
Good
ones
thinking.
who actually like me.
Think
Milk-
like a radio. host.
Milk it.
On
yeah.
that note, by the way, I wanted to ask you, now that you're going to be in Japan, who are the guys in the clubhouse that are still there that we should probably be like talking
Buddying
to
up
a little
to.
bit more? Like, could be friendly to the Ben and Woods paradigm.
Friendly guys. Oh
Yeah.
man, it's it's hard for me because seriously, they were all great to me.
That doesn't mean they'll be great to us, though.
No, it does not mean they'll be great to you. I make it a point, and I have to say what's up or say hi to everybody in the locker room, like anybody I see, coaches, bullpen coaches. I figured that out when I was with Tampa that was a pretty cool thing and people like that. So I've made that a point now since then to always do that like every day. And it is funny because I used to talk Yu Darvish's ear off. Like I would ask him all sorts of things. And I thought at some point I was just fucking annoying him, to be totally honest. And when he saw I signed in Japan, he quote tweeted it because he's obviously gigantic in Japan.
Yeah.
He quote tweeted it saying he was a great teammate. Please give him your support, all this stuff. And I was like, oh wow, he liked me. I wasn't annoying.
You're already ahead of the game.
That's amazing.
So maybe you, who's in there? I mean, Snell's
He always on the English language. I think he uses that the translator is a bit of a buffer to keep the media at arm's length.
I could see
But he
that.
seems like a really cool, interesting guy.
We want to
If
be
you
best
can-
friends with Blake Snell.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if you can crack Snell is hilarious.
He's the funniest
He
dude I've ever
he
talked to.
really is.
And
So if
Clev.
you can crack
Clev is
him, Clev's
hysterical.
funny. If you can crack Snell, he's great. Who else is in there that Pierce Johnson and Emilio Pagan crack me up always. I was always with. I somehow end up hanging out with pitchers a lot. I don't know if it's because I'm sitting on the bench with them or what it is, but it's I don't know. I'm always friends with them, so they're great. Tim Hill's an absolute character.
He's amazing.
Who are these? I'm trying to think of who's playing there. I mean, Toddy and Manny.
Yeah,
they're great, but sometimes I know they
They're
don't want
terrifying.
to talk as much. They're a little terrifying.
I'll say it.
They're good dudes.
I
Who
shit
else
my pants
from the
every time I got to
position
talk
players?
to one of those guys. But
Crony and Grisham were awesome too. They can be quiet though. So
Crony's
man,
very
that's
quiet.
tough.
yeah.
have you seen the picture
They're
of Ben
funny.
shoving his dick into Cronenworth's face?
It's my hands in my pocket.
He's like this,
It's
interviewing him, but he's like this. BOG, look.
Well, he's standing down in the
he's got his hand in his
dugout,
pocket.
and we're like above, so I've got to crouch and like lean down and like
It's like this. It's fucking unbelievable. I was in tears. I looked the next morning. I go, why did you put your wiener right in his face?
Oh my
No wonder he
God.
didn't say much. So
That's
good.
hysterical. That's hysterical. Will Myers is funny too. I
Yeah.
talk to Will a lot about all sorts of shit. He's funny. He loves going down rabbit holes on YouTube about like literally anything you could think of. It doesn't
We've
have to
never
be a
talked to him.
Well, yeah,
conspiracy.
So I've called for him to
He's
be
low key though. He is.
half a dozen times over the last 5 years, and Woods didn't let up on his when he was video streaming, video gaming with.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
We
That was
hit
a
it.
tough one.
We hammered him pretty good. So we've
I
never
like
talked.
Will.
I like him too.
I like Will a lot, but we've kind of.
I mean, you can't let
Rode him
that
a
shit
little bit,
slide,
yeah.
right? Like we've all done it.
It's pretty funny. I mean, it's pretty funny.
in September, dude. I'm sure he fucking loads
Uh,
us, but
Well, you kind of. I mean, aside from me, because obviously I'm your favorite player.
right.
Who are your favorite San Diego players?
Oh man,
Who do you? I guess. One, who do you enjoy talking to the most? And you kind of already answered that, Snell, I guess, right?
Clev, yeah.
And then Snell and Clev, okay. And then take Tatis out of it because that's probably the
Fair
answer.
enough. Yeah.
Who do you enjoy watching most on the Padres? And then in the league in general right now?
We're a Manny family, my whole family.
This is a Manny Machado podcast for the record.
100%. I sold Ben on getting him.
Yeah.
So I grew up a Yankee fan.
He sold San Diego.
I sold San
on
Diego
Manny
on Manny.
Machado.
But I grew up, my dad married my mom in 85 and he adopted me and my brother, and I didn't have a father figure growing up. And so I didn't really know much about the game. And then he was a Yankee fan. His dad was from Manhattan, used to go watch Joe D. My dad used to go watch Mickey Mantle. He passed it down to me. So I grew up, spent 6 years in Connecticut on the East Coast. So I got to watch the Yes Network every night, fell in love with the Yankees in 85. Right. And it was shit teams for a long time. Garbage, just horrid baseball teams. But my dad loved them, so I loved them. Now, I often tell the story. If he was from Baltimore, I would have been an Orioles fan. I just, whatever he liked, I liked. That was my first father figure. So I'm in the AL East, and Manny Machado comes up, and I played my first position in high school was third base because I had an arm. I was kind of fearless. And I watched Manny play, and I remembered me playing third and went, yeah, that's not the same thing. We're not doing the same shit out there. I've never seen anybody like him. You can throw Arenado and Roland and Matt Chapman. It's not the same. Nobody is like Manny. Nobody.
It's not.
He's unbelievable, and it's effortless. And so we are a Manny household. He's a winner. He wants to win. He's fucking fiery. I think he's misunderstood. Has he fucked up? Sure, he's human, but he is a fucking G, dude. And guy plays 158 games a year, bro, and plays now 3 different positions. Like, get out of here. Like, he's the GOAT, dude.
And I will say, your next guest, Joe Musgrove, has been so good to us. So Joe went to Grossmont High. Paulie actually was the freshman baseball coach there. So even when he was on the
Stop it.
Pirates,
Yeah.
Paulie had his number. So we got him on 2 or 3 times a season just with the Pirates, just to
Just to
talk
shoot
to
the shit.
just to talk to a big leaguer. And he's always So thoughtful. He's such a great interview. Gives really good, intelligent answers, well thought out. So when he got traded to the Padres, we were
Awesome.
like stoked. I mean, San Diego guy who already knows our show and is coming home, and then he throws the no-hitter, and he came on was it the day before the no-hitter?
Came on the day before and after.
And after. He came the day before and after the
It was
no-hitter.
amazing.
So he's
That's
always
cool.
been one of our absolute favorites. Joe is awesome.
No, I'll fight somebody over Manny. It's the one time where like you can get my goat on Twitter. If somebody's like fucking classless Manny, I'm just like, like it's just he's so misunderstood. He really is.
He is.
And
He
he's
is.
just like, God damn, you want to talk about a presence? Like I'm 46 years old. All right. We're at spring training a couple years ago. The first time we ever went, I'm out there early. And Manny, I see this. I don't even know what the fuck it was. I don't know. It was like a Bentley SUV or something. I don't even know what it was. Pulls in. I'm like, oh God, this is somebody. It's either Manny or Tatis. Manny gets out. I'm talking, the sun has not risen yet. We're in there doing our show. He walks by me. I can't even say hello. It was like Prince walked by. I was like, I was just staring at him. It was like the aura, and I go, holy shit. And I walked by and I was like, Manny just walked in. They're like, dude, you're a dad. Like you're a grown man.
And then 2 years ago, we're at we go to a game. Where do we go? Out to Surprise or something. The Padres are playing a spring game, and we sit down. We got tickets right behind first base dugout. Manny, first at bat of the spring, hits a home run. Like 10 seconds later, Yane sits down next to us. She's got the tickets next to us. She goes, "Oh,
I go, did you miss that home run?" She goes, yes, and I'm going to hear about it later. Because Manny hits home plate and he's looking for his wife in the stands like a fucking high schooler does.
Yep.
This was amazing.
And she's great, and they're great
They're the
together.
best.
We've had them on together, and it's just an awesome couple, and we love them so much.
I just want him to finish here, and I want him to finish with a ring. I want him to finish with a couple of gold gloves. I feel like he gets hosed every year.
He gets hosed in the Gold Glove department. It's fucking unbelievable.
It's
that he
unbelievable.
doesn't
I'm
win Gold
sorry.
Gloves.
Like Arenado is great. It's not to take anything away from him, but Arenado doesn't fucking play right field. Okay. Manny does. He's doing
Arenado's throwing himself all over the place.
Manny's
On
like
places
this.
Manny just scoops with his eyes closed.
It's unbelievable. And you
The smoothness Manny does, like fielding, I've never seen anything like that in person.
No.
And when he hits, when he hits line drives, I said it to him. I've never seen a more beautiful fucking just straight line drive than when Manny Machado hits.
there's
It's
two
crazy.
right-handed hitters for me, and they're both named Manny. It was Manny Ramirez, who I hated, and Manny Machado, who I love. But man, right-handed from the right side as a fat right-handed kid, and you try to emulate what either of those dudes do, and you're like, bro, there's just no way. Like Manny, when he's going right center gap, it's just like, it's beautiful. He just the backspin, the whole thing. I mean, he hits the ball hard. He plays hurt. He plays 158 games a year, and he plays a demanding position. And now they've got him playing. I mean, that jog is 100 yards, and he does it 50 times a game. Like it had to. By the end of the season, you're like, fuck, this is hard enough.
He was fucking diving on the warning track out there.
Yeah, it was
man.
the best.
He almost caught that shit too.
The best, dude. The best.
So Manny, when I first got there, when he first got to camp, whatever, I think I was there a day or two before him, and my locker in spring, it was Crony was right next to me. It was Crony, Profar, Toddy, Manny. And I had never met Manny. I knew Toddy from playing in winter ball with him, and I knew Crony from playing against him. So Manny comes in, and I was saying, I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking Manny Machado.
Machado.
And because he's big dude, he's commanding presence. But man, he put his shit down, walked right up to me, dapped me up, gave me a hug, started talking for 15 minutes just about anything. And right then and there, I'm like, man, whatever bullshit is out there about Manny, and that's what it is. He's misunderstood. It's bullshit. Yep. That dude is a winner, busts his ass, is a tough dude. And if I was picking a team, Manny Machado would be my third baseman without hesitation every day of the fucking week.
I think Profar, he always reminds me of one of the players from Ted Lasso. Like Danny,
Yeah,
Danny
that's
Rojas.
hilarious.
Danny
Yeah.
Rojas, some Profar.
But Profar doesn't take
But
any
he's got-
shit
no,
either.
he's got some
got
fire.
No, yeah.
rat ass in him, dude. I love
Yeah.
that. I
Pro's
love
funny though, man. Pro's a funny
I
guy.
love the squad. I wish you were still on it this year, man. I know, it's fun it was fun having you up when you were up last year, dude. It's gonna suck, but I'm so interested in the Japan thing. Like we talked on the phone about it. I just can't wait to like see you thrive over there. And I know you're going to. I know you're going to put the work in. But I'm sure you've gotten good feedback from a lot of guys that have played over there. You make some money. They treat you like kings, which is great. Do they not do like minor leagues? They're not going to shuttle you from like.
They have a minor league, but no, I will not be in the minor league there. Thankfully,
He's going to be an all-star. Come on.
Yeah. Let's go.
So the plan, it's we're definitely on this podcast. We're definitely going to be documenting that stuff, like you had suggested too. We're definitely going to lean into that, and I want to get hopefully some Japanese teammates on there with me, guys, actual Japanese teammates, as well as the other American teammates that I have there. We'll talk about some of that stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully I get over there in the next couple of weeks. A little stuff with COVID, still little different situations there, but
When does the season start?
They've already started. Spring training starts February 1st. I was supposed to be gone already,
Okay, so
but we're hoping the end of this month. Yep, they stopped their visa process.
No.
So unless you had one from last year, can't get one right now. They're working on exemptions. So I think it like the end of the month will be good, and I won't miss any real games or anything. So
Good.
that's cool.
I heard their workouts are kind of regimented, and maybe it's not the worst thing.
Yeah, I think it's a little. They've gotten
Calisthenics.
better about it, I think. But yes, I think they work a little bit different than we do here, and that's part of the experience, man. I'm not going over there as I played in the major leagues and I'm an American, and I'm going over there to experience the culture, to experience the people, all of it. So it's going to be fun, but you never know. I could end up in San Diego again at some point. I would love for that to happen. And real quick before we let you go, this is a little separate question here. NFL, how weird was it when the Chargers left for you guys? Was that strange, or is that whatever?
I'm still bitter. They're
still bitter about it?
I can't get over it. It's 5 years.
And now they have Justin Herbert too, so they're very interesting.
He's great, but they always step on it. I mean, they could have tied and gotten
do.
in the playoffs, and they still didn't. Somehow they always screw it up. Now the Rams going to the Super Bowl, it's gonna continue to make them second-class citizens in their own stadium. They should never have left. I get it. We got stadium issues here. You got a loyal fan base. They would have supported you forever. It's just a money grab. It's so unappealing that they left, and I'm just so mad about it.
Again, selfishly,
I'm sorry, Ben.
Selfishly for me, I didn't grow up a Charger fan. I don't even really have an NFL team. I love the players. I love the game. I do love gambling on the games. I love all of it. But for us, how much easier our life would be if we had a football team to cover?
A lot more to talk about, no doubt.
A couple of our best shows.
Ratings would double easily.
Yeah,
I mean,
easily.
people want to tune in after the game. So
dude, our best
complain and break it all down.
Our best show of the year, I think, was the Monday after the divisional round where you had those 4 bangers. I came in here,
unreal.
We unloaded, and I looked up and I was like, oh my God, we're done. Like, we're fucking done. Tomorrow, we're having a comedian on. There's nothing to talk about. Like, we're just so again, selfishly, it's a much easier gig and really a more entertaining gig. But then again, I don't got to get my heart broken every week. Kicker makes it easy. Like, there's something to be said for being able to still talk about it at an arm's length. So
Gotcha.
I hope that there's football here again someday. Don't think there will be. But I want another one. An NBA team would be fantastic. An NHL team would be fantastic. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. And that's kind of where we're at as a show.
It is. San Diego is such an awesome city. It is crazy that really you just have baseball now. It's kind of sad. And hopefully you're right. Hopefully you guys will get something else there, because definitely a great fan base around there. And it's just a great place to be.
Great.
Guys, I just got to thank you so much for coming on here. This was so much fun. First one I did, it was way more comfortable with you guys on here, man. I'm so excited. Can't thank you enough. Definitely need to catch up in the future. Would love to come back on, talk about Japan, but we will be in touch, and thank you so much for joining me here. I really
Later, brother.
appreciate it.
Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
you, man. Thanks,
Thanks.
BOG.